Robert's hands shook as he turned the bathroom door handle. Another 12-hour shift at the construction site. Another day of being both mom and dad to 8-year-old Emma. His shoulders carried the weight of every single parent's nightmare, never being enough. Steam clouded the mirror. The shower was running. Emma was at her sleepover. Robert lived alone. His heart pounded as he pushed the door open wider. Through the glass shower door, he saw the silhouette of a woman. A complete stranger stood under his water, washing her long dark hair like she belonged there. Robert froze. His tired mind couldn't process what he was seeing. The woman turned. She had gentle brown eyes and a face that looked like it had seen too much pain. Instead of screaming, she smiled softly. "Could you hand me that towel?" Mia asked, pointing to the rack beside him. Her voice was calm, almost apologetic. "I know this looks crazy, but I'm your new neighbor. I got locked out, and your sweet neighbor Mrs. Chen gave me your spare key." Robert stood there speechless, towel in hand, staring at the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. What would you do if you found a stranger in your shower? Let us know in the comments below. Robert handed Mia the towel, his mind racing with 1,000 questions. She wrapped it around herself with shaking hands. That's when he saw them, dark purple bruises along her collarbone, finger marks on her upper arms. His stomach dropped. Those weren't accident bruises. "I'll wait in the kitchen," Robert said quietly, backing away. His construction worker instincts told him to be careful, but his father's heart recognized fear when he saw it. 10 minutes later, Mia appeared wearing his old Yale sweatshirt that hung loose on her small frame. She looked so young, so broken. Robert poured 2 cups of coffee and sat across from her at his kitchen table. "Mrs. Chen said you have a little girl," Mia began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I would never put a child in danger. I didn't know where else to go." Robert studied her face. The bruise near her temple was fresh, maybe 2 days old. "Who did this to you?" Tears filled Mia's brown eyes. "My boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend." She pulled the sweatshirt sleeves over her hands. "I finally found the courage to leave him yesterday. I drove for 16 hours straight. I don't even know why I picked this neighborhood. You just randomly ended up here?" "I saw Mrs. Chen watering her flowers. She reminded me of my grandmother." Mia's voice cracked. "I was sitting in my car, trying not to cry, and she came over. She took one look at me and knew." Robert felt something shift in his chest. The same protective feeling he had for Emma, but different. Stronger. "Mrs. Chen brought me tea and let me use her phone," Mia continued. "But her apartment is tiny, and she said her son would be visiting tomorrow. She mentioned you work long hours and might not mind a temporary guest." She was right. The words came out before Robert could stop them. Mia looked up, surprised. "You don't even know me." "I know enough." Robert pointed to her bruises. "I know someone hurt you. I know you're brave enough to leave. And I know Mrs. Chen has better judgment than anyone on this street." For the first time, Mia smiled. It transformed her entire face. "I can pay rent," she said quickly. "I have some savings. I'm a graphic designer, so I can work from anywhere. I just need a few days to figure things out." Robert shook his head. "Keep your money." The couch pulls out into a bed. There are clean sheets in the hall closet. "Why are you being so nice to a stranger?" Robert thought about Emma, about all the nights she asked why mommy left, about trying to be everything to everyone and always falling short. "Maybe we both need the help." They sat in comfortable silence, drinking coffee as the evening light faded through his kitchen window. Robert watched Mia's shoulders slowly relax. The fear in her eyes began to soften. "Emma comes home tomorrow afternoon," he said. "She's going to have a million questions. Kids usually like me, Mia said with a shy smile. I'm good with homework and making silly voices during story time. Something warm spread through Robert's chest. When was the last time someone had offered to help with Emma? When was the last time his house felt this peaceful? One night, Mia said firmly. Then I'll find somewhere else to go. Robert nodded, but deep down he hoped she was wrong. Have you ever met someone who changed everything in just one day? Share your story in the comments. One night turned into 3 days. 3 days turned into a week. Mia fit into their lives like she'd always been there. Robert came home Monday evening to find Emma giggling at the kitchen table. Mia sat beside his daughter, helping with math homework, her long hair falling over one shoulder as she explained fractions using pizza slices drawn on paper. Daddy, look! Emma held up her worksheet. Mia taught me the easy way. Robert's heart squeezed. Emma hadn't smiled this much since her mother left 2 years ago. She's really smart, Emma whispered loudly to Robert. And she makes the best grilled cheese. Mia blushed, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. It's nothing special. But it was special. Robert watched Mia cut the crusts off Emma's sandwich, remembering exactly how his daughter liked it. She noticed everything, that Emma preferred her juice in the purple cup, that she needed her stuffed elephant before bedtime stories, that she got frustrated with homework but responded better to encouragement than pressure. Tuesday night, Robert found them building a blanket fort in the living room. Emma was inside the fort reading, while Mia organized the couch cushions. The bruises on her arms were fading to yellow. She asked about the fort in her favorite book, Mia explained softly. I figured why not make it real? Robert crawled inside the fort with them. The three of them barely fit, knees touching, sharing flashlight stories until Emma fell asleep between them. In the dim light, Robert caught Mia watching him with Emma, something tender in her expression. By Wednesday, Mia had established a routine. She made breakfast while Robert showered for work. She walked Emma to school, then spent the day working on her laptop at his kitchen table. When he came home, dinner was usually ready, nothing fancy, but better than the frozen meals and takeout that had become their normal. You don't have to cook, Robert told her after finding homemade spaghetti and meatballs waiting. I like taking care of people, Mia said simply. It feels good to be useful. Thursday evening changed everything. Robert came home to find Mia reading Emma a bedtime story, doing different voices for each character. Emma was curled against Mia's side, laughing at her silly princess voice. Robert leaned against the doorway, watching them. His chest ached with something he hadn't felt in years. Want. Hope. The terrifying possibility that maybe his broken little family could be whole again. When Emma fell asleep, Mia quietly closed the book and followed Robert to the kitchen. Coffee? She asked, already reaching for the mugs. They sat at his table like they had every night that week. But tonight felt different. Tonight, Robert couldn't stop staring at the way the kitchen light caught the gold flecks in Mia's brown eyes. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For making her happy. For making us both happy. Robert's voice was rough with emotion. I forgot what that felt like. Mia reached across the table and touched his hand. Her fingers were warm and soft. I forgot too. They sat there, hands touching, both afraid to say what was growing between them. Robert wanted to tell her she could stay forever. He wanted to tell her that Emma asked every morning if Mia would still be there when she got home from school. He wanted to tell her that he was falling in love. But Mia still had secrets in her eyes. And Robert had learned that loving someone meant being patient enough to let them share those secrets when they were ready. What's the longest you've ever let someone stay, temporarily? Tell us in the comments below. 2 weeks passed like a beautiful dream Robert was afraid to wake up from. Their late-night conversations became sacred. After Emma went to bed, Robert and Mia would sit on his back porch, sharing stories under the stars. She told him about growing up with her grandmother, about her love for graphic design, about the small town she'd left behind. But whenever Robert asked about her recent past, about the man who hurt her, Mia's eyes would cloud over. "I'm just not ready yet," she'd whisper, and Robert would take her hand, promising he could wait. He was falling hard. Harder than he'd ever fallen for anyone, including Emma's mother. Friday night, Emma had another sleepover. Robert came home to find Mia cooking dinner in a yellow sundress, humming softly. She looked so natural in his kitchen, so right in his life. "Dance with me," Robert said impulsively, reaching for her waist. Mia laughed, letting him spin her around the kitchen. They swayed together to no music except the rhythm of their hearts. When she looked up at him with those brown eyes, Robert almost kissed her. Almost. But something held him back. Some instinct that told him she was still running from something bigger than an abusive relationship. Saturday morning proved his instincts right. Robert was making pancakes when Mia's phone buzzed. She grabbed it quickly, glancing at the screen. Her face went pale. "I need to take this," she said, disappearing onto the back porch. Through the kitchen window, Robert watched her pace while talking in hushed, urgent tones. Her body language screamed stress. Fear. When she hung up, she stood there for a long moment, holding her head in her hands. "Everything okay?" Robert asked when she came back inside. "Fine," Mia said too quickly. "Just, work stuff." But Robert had seen her work. Graphic design didn't usually involve 20-minute phone calls at 7 in the morning. The calls started happening more frequently. Always when Emma wasn't around. Always with Mia stepping outside or into another room. Always ending with her looking shaken. Tuesday afternoon, Robert came home early and caught her mid-conversation. "I told you, I need more time," Mia was saying, her voice tight with panic. "He can't find me here. These people don't deserve to get hurt because of me." Robert's blood ran cold. Who was looking for her? What people was she putting in danger? That night, Emma fell asleep between them during movie night. Robert carried his daughter to bed, and when he returned, he found Mia staring out the living room window, her whole body tense. "You're watching for someone," Robert said. It wasn't a question. Mia's shoulders sagged. "Robert. Who's looking for you, Mia?" She turned to face him, tears in her eyes. "If I tell you the truth, you'll ask me to leave." Robert's heart hammered against his ribs. "Try me." "I can't." Her voice broke. "I can't lose this. I can't lose you and Emma. You're the first good thing that's happened to me in so long." Robert sat beside her, taking her trembling hands in his. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together." Mia looked at him with such desperate hope that Robert felt his chest crack open. He was ready to promise her anything, ready to protect her from whatever darkness she was running from. But before she could speak, headlights swept across the living room window. A black sedan pulled up outside Robert's house, engine running. Mia went rigid. "Oh God. They found me." "Who?" Robert demanded, but Mia was already standing, backing toward the hallway where Emma slept. "I have to go," she whispered, panic taking over her voice. "I have to leave right now, or they'll hurt you both." Have you ever had to choose between your safety and protecting the people you love? Share your thoughts below. "Stop," Robert said firmly, grabbing Mia's arm before she could run. "Tell me what's happening right now." The black sedan's doors opened. Two people in dark suits stepped out, moving with the controlled precision of law enforcement. Not the kind of men who hurt women. The kind who protected witnesses. Mia saw them too and let out a shaky breath. "Federal marshals," she whispered. Robert's world tilted. "What?" The doorbell rang. Mia's hands were shaking so hard she could barely stand. "Robert, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. Open up, Ms. Rodriguez, a calm voice called from outside. We know you're in there. We need to talk. Robert stared at Mia, at this woman he'd been falling in love with, who'd been sleeping on his couch, caring for his daughter. Rodriguez? That's not your real name. Nothing I told you was a lie, Mia said desperately. Except my name. And why I'm really running. The doorbell rang again, more insistent. Robert moved to the window and looked out. The marshals stood patiently on his porch, hands visible, non-threatening. One was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. The other was a young man who looked tired. They're not going to hurt us, Robert said slowly, pieces clicking together. You're not running from an abusive boyfriend. You're running from them. Mia collapsed onto his couch, burying her face in her hands. My real name is Mia Rodriguez. And yes, my ex-boyfriend beat me. But he also happens to be Luis Moreno. Robert's blood turned to ice. Even he knew that name. Luis Moreno ran drugs through 3 states, left bodies in his wake. The kind of criminal who made the evening news. I was with him for 2 years before I found out what he really did, Mia continued, words tumbling out fast. When I tried to leave, he threatened to kill me. But then I witnessed him murder someone. A rival dealer who tried to double-cross him. Jesus, Robert breathed. The FBI found me a week later. I agreed to testify, but Luis has people everywhere. Even in witness protection, I wasn't safe. So I ran. Mia looked up at him with devastated eyes. I never meant to put you and Emma in danger. Robert felt sick. Emma was sleeping 20 feet away while federal marshals stood on his porch. His daughter, his innocent little girl, was in the middle of a criminal case that could get them all killed. How long have they been looking for you? 3 months. I've been running for 3 months. Mia's voice cracked. But they're not the only ones looking. Luis has $1 million bounty on my head. The woman marshal knocked gently. Ms. Rodriguez, we're not here to arrest you. We have news about Luis Moreno. Good news. Robert's head was spinning. This woman he'd been imagining a future with, this woman his daughter adored, was the target of a drug cartel. She'd brought federal attention and criminal danger right into his living room. Robert, Mia whispered, reaching for his hand. Say something. He looked at her, really looked at her. The fear in her eyes was real. The love she'd shown Emma was real. The way she'd made his house feel like a home was real. But so was the danger. So was the fact that she'd lied about everything. I need a minute, Robert said quietly, pulling his hand away. Outside, footsteps moved around his house. More vehicles arrived. His quiet suburban street was turning into a crime scene, and his 8-year-old daughter was sleeping through it all. What would you do if someone you loved put your family in danger? Let us know in the comments. Robert stared at Mia, his heart breaking and racing at the same time. The woman he'd fallen in love with was a stranger. A stranger who'd put Emma in the crosshairs of a drug cartel. Before he could speak, the back door exploded open. Wood splintered. Glass shattered. A man with cold dark eyes and expensive clothes stepped into Robert's kitchen, pointing a gun with casual confidence. 2 more men followed behind him, blocking the exits. Luis Moreno had found them. Hello, beautiful, Luis said to Mia, his voice smooth as poison. Miss me? Robert's construction-trained reflexes kicked in. He stepped in front of Mia, shielding her with his body. Get out of my house. Luis laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Your house? This piece of suburban trash? His eyes found Mia cowering behind Robert. My girlfriend has expensive tastes. I'm surprised she settled for this. I'm not your girlfriend, Mia whispered, but her voice shook with terror. You cost me $12 million when you disappeared, Luis continued, circling them like a predator. 12 million in deals I couldn't close without my star witness safely eliminated. Robert's blood turned to ice. From upstairs came the soft sound of Emma stirring in her bed. His daughter. His innocent 8-year-old daughter was about to wake up to this nightmare. The feds are outside, Robert said desperately. You'll never get out of here. Those idiots? Luis smiled, showing perfect white teeth. I own half the police force in 3 counties. A couple federal marshals won't be a problem. Mia stepped around Robert, chin raised despite her shaking hands. Let them go, Luis. You want me, not them. Oh, I want you. Luis's eyes glittered with malice. But first, I want you to watch what happens to people who help you run from me. He raised his gun toward Robert. No. Mia threw herself between them. Please. I'll come with you. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt them. Upstairs, a small voice called out. Daddy? What was that noise? Emma. Sweet, innocent Emma was waking up. Robert's vision went red. Nobody threatened his daughter. Nobody. You have 10 seconds to get out of my house, Robert said, his voice deadly quiet. Or I'll tear you apart with my bare hands. Luis laughed. What's a construction worker going to do against? The front door burst open. Federal marshals poured in, weapons drawn, shouting commands. But Luis's men were ready. Gunfire erupted. Robert grabbed Mia and Dove behind his kitchen counter as bullets shattered his windows. Upstairs, Emma started crying. I have to get to her, Robert shouted over the chaos. Stay down. Mia grabbed his arm. If something happens to you because of me. If something happens to Emma because of you, I'll never forgive myself for trusting you, Robert said, and immediately regretted the words when he saw Mia's face crumble. More gunfire. Shouting. The sound of Emma screaming for her daddy. In that moment, Mia made her choice. She stood up, hands raised, walking toward the gunfight. Luis. I surrender. Just stop shooting and let me come with you. Mia, no. Robert lunged for her, but she was already in the open, making herself a target to protect his daughter. The woman he loved was about to sacrifice herself for his family. Would you risk everything to save the people you love? Tell us in the comments below. The gunfight lasted 30 seconds. It felt like 30 years. Luis Moreno went down in Robert's living room, caught between federal marshals and his own arrogance. His men surrendered when they realized they were outnumbered and outgunned. No one died, but Robert's house looked like a war zone. Emma ran downstairs as the last handcuffs clicked shut. Robert caught her in his arms, holding her tight while she sobbed against his chest. Over his daughter's head, he met Mia's eyes across the destroyed room. She looked broken. Guilty. Ready to disappear forever. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. The lead marshal, Agent Chen, approached them carefully. Ms. Rodriguez, Luis Moreno is in custody. With tonight's evidence, we have enough to put him away for life even without your testimony. You're free. Free. After 3 months of running, Mia was finally free. But Robert saw the way she looked at the damage, at Emma's tear-stained face, at the life she'd accidentally destroyed. Mia didn't feel free. She felt responsible. 2 days later, she was gone. Robert found her note on the kitchen table. You and Emma deserve safety and peace. I can't give you that. Thank you for showing me what love looks like. M. The weeks that followed were the hardest of Robert's life. Emma asked about Mia every single day. Where did she go? When was she coming back? Why did the bad man want to hurt her? Robert didn't have good answers. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that sometimes love isn't enough? Sometimes protecting someone means letting them go? 6 months later, Robert was fixing Emma's bedroom window when the doorbell rang. His heart stopped when he opened the door. Mia stood on his porch, holding a small bouquet of daisies, Emma's favorite flower. She looked different. Stronger. Her hair was shorter, her eyes clearer. She wasn't running anymore. "Hi," she said softly. "Mia." Emma appeared beside Robert, launching herself into Mia's arms. "Daddy said you might never come back." "I wasn't sure I should," Mia said, holding Emma tight while looking at Robert over his daughter's head. "I testified 3 weeks ago. Luis got life without parole. It's really over." Robert's throat felt tight. "Why now? Why come back?" "Because I love you," Mia said simply. "Both of you. And I realize that running from love is just another kind of prison." Emma looked between them with wide eyes. "Are you going to live with us again?" "Only if your daddy wants me to," Mia said. Robert studied her face. The fear was gone. The secrets were gone. What remained was the woman who'd made his daughter laugh, who'd brought warmth to his empty house, who'd been willing to die to protect them both. "I want more than that," Robert said quietly. 6 months later, on a perfect spring morning, Robert knelt in the same backyard where they'd shared those first conversations under the stars. Emma stood beside him, holding a ring box and grinning like she had the best secret in the world. "Mia Rodriguez," Robert said, his voice shaking with emotion, "will you marry us?" Mia's hands flew to her mouth. Happy tears streamed down her face as she looked at this man and this little girl who'd chosen to love her despite everything. "Yes," she whispered. "To both of you. Always yes." Sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with the most unexpected meetings. Have you ever found love when you least expected it? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one.